All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Matty Moolah. Today we're going to be talking about how I'm completely wrong once again in the Palantir space. No, but in actuality, there's been a lot of chatter going around about this Dan Ives report that came out with the new price target of $25. And Amit and I had a very, genuine conversation with Steven on it on Friday, 2 days ago, the 28th of July. And then Jeremy posted a video last night. So Jeremy, thank you for continuing to follow Palantir Weekly. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the constructive criticism that you gave in that video. But this video is, once again, me doubling down on that a little bit to an extent. And saying that I think a lot of you guys are using your biases in hope that Q2 is going to have some sort of big pop. And me, maybe my bias came in on Friday, but I did wanted to do some back-end research and share with you guys some of the things that I was looking at. And if you notice a lot, and I'll get to sharing the screen in a second here, so be sure to stick around. I think a lot of people anticipate that when somebody initiates a piece of coverage on a company that it's specific towards one quarter. And if you'll notice, I think we said this a lot on the podcast on Friday, Dan Ives didn't just initiate a Tesla price target for one quarter. He didn't do it for Snapchat for one quarter. He didn't do it for Apple for one quarter. He didn't do it for Texas Roadhouse for one quarter. So while I think a lot of people are anticipating that, it's very timely that this is happening, you'll see that the Tesla initiation happened on January 4th of 2018. Why didn't he wait until 1Q earnings came out? He had to have known, right? Why didn't he wait until Apple earnings came out? It's like they're initiating positions for multi-year coverage, right? So I think that everyone's just using their biases, unfortunately, in this case. And I think a lot of people are going to get burned when it comes to people reading too much into some of these things. So I urge everyone once again, you could be right, it could pop, it could go down. I think one of the things that I encourage people to continue to do is understand that it's personal finance. You have to invest in something that's right for you. And I think that there's a lot of people in this community that notice a stock being up 100, 175% in the first half of the year and want to continue to pile into it. I think that happens quite often. You saw the same thing happen in January of 2021 when Palantir went up to $45 intraday and closed at $38 the same day. And we haven't really seen any price action like that since then. But it just goes to show you that people follow. We're sheep most of the time. And I would encourage you guys to truly think long-term about this company if you aren't. And if you're not, you want to do a quarterly trade, that's fine as well. But I think a lot of you guys are going to get burned because not every quarter is going to beat. And it could be this quarter, it could be next. But this is a wavelength when you're in these high growth positions. You go through peaks and troughs based off of how the quarters show up. But at the end of the day, depending on what kind of investor you are or what you're doing with your portfolio and how you structure it, for me, I know I'm looking at 2030. That's the big picture. So I'm looking at Q2 as a check-in. But I wanted to iterate once again, and I'll share my screen here, specifically about what I was referring to when these people initiate positions. So you'll see he initiated a position all the way on Tesla, back in 2013 as well, and talked a little bit about that. C3 AI, he initiated something in 2021, January 4th. And if you guys aren't very familiar with what happened in 2021, C3 AI pretty much took a dump right after this. I think it was trading between 50 to $70 a share at this point, and it continued to dump way into the rest of 2021. But yet he still covers C3 AI. And same thing in 2011, Wedbush initiated a target on Apple, to which they continue to follow the stock today. They also did one on Texas Roadhouse in January 12th of 2018. So I'm assuming, just based off the release date of this, that 1Q of 2018 for Texas Roadhouse must have been a blowout quarter because they rated it as outperform. So if you're reading into it, I'm assuming it's doing extremely well, and it probably hasn't done just as good since because, just because they're initiating coverage that quarter definitely means that they're doing well. And I'd like to note they're still covering Texas Roadhouse 5 years later. Airbnb as well. They recommended this one with a 15% upside. So I'm assuming, hey, this quarter is probably going to be really good for Airbnb because they're initiating coverage, right? So they initiated this one just about a month ago. So Q2 earnings for Airbnb, watch out. It's probably going to pop because just like they're initiating coverage here on Palantir on the 28th of July, must mean that Q2 is gonna pop as well. And I'm trying to remember what this one was. I think this was Snapchat, but yep. So Snapchat back in 2017, they initiated a $12 price target. So I'm assuming Snapchat, to this day they're still covering it, but that must have been a really good quarter because they initiated the coverage on August 31st of 2017. So 3Q for Snapchat must have been a blowout quarter. But anyway, I thought it was prudent to go ahead and talk to you guys about that and double down and mention that just because somebody initiates a coverage on it doesn't mean that it's specific towards that particular quarter. It's more a lifelong or multi-year long coverage. And following up with that, I wanted to double down on a little bit of what I released on Twitter earlier about an hour or so ago about the 13 analysts that cover Palantir today already, to which Wedbush and Dan Ives is now, I guess, going to be included in going forward. So they have about a 5-cent estimate for EPS this quarter. So in about, I guess it's next Tuesday or next Monday. So about a week from tomorrow. They have about a 5-cent estimate for average, with some people estimating as low as 4 cents, some people estimating as high as 6 cents. And you only have 10 people covering the revenue estimates. So the average is 531-ish million for the revenue estimates, with as low as 529, as high as 532. So we'll see in terms of how much growth, but that's approximately a 12% growth rate. Now, if you look towards next quarter, we're assuming about the same 5 cents. For the current year, 14 analysts are predicting about 21 cents EPS. Now, remember, Matty Capital has an estimate of about $1 EPS for 2026 timeframe, so keep that in mind. I know some people think I'm crazy, but here we are, already a fifth of the way there, and I think the big headwind is out of the in the rearview mirror with respect to basically getting to break even EPS and GAAP profitability. So some folks think we're going to end at 23 cents. Some folks think we're going to only end at 21 cents. And next year, people have an estimate of about 25 cents. So about a quarter of the way of where Matty Capital thinks we will be in 2026 timeframe, with the high estimate of up to 30 cents next year. Estimates for revenue are up to 2.6 to 2.8, or sorry, 2.45 to 2.8-ish billion, with consensus being around 2.6 billion. I'm more of an anticipation of about 2.7 to 2.9 billion in revenue, and I think we're going to end closer. Now I'm probably crazy, but closer to 35 cents to 40 cents in terms of EPS. But I guess we will see when we hit that mark next year. So anyway, long story short, you do have some folks kind of reiterating holds buys, strong buys on this particular stock of Palantir. But I wanted to just give a little bit of a context as to why I answered the way I did. I respect Amit, I respect Jeremy, but I think that they're letting their biases and hype for what's going on in Q2 really drive some of what they're saying. And, maybe I'm biasing myself by the long-term wavelengths that I generally think on. And so it is what it is. I'm getting a lot of ridicule for it. It's okay. I'm strong. I can handle it. And at the end of the day, I'm the one that's putting myself in front of folks, making predictions and creating content week after week. And they're just playing armchair Monday morning quarterback or Monday morning investor, right? And so they have the benefit of the doubt to, basically change their mind and delete tweets whenever they want, but I'm the one that's putting myself in front of you guys. But anyway, wanted to share this video. Hope you guys find it well. And as always, I'll see you guys on the Friday podcast, and continue to leave your comments and continue to have constructive criticisms, positive criticisms, thoughts. That's what we're here for. That's what the comment section is for. And it's fine. I'll handle it in stride. And trust me, it's not a big deal. At the end of the day, Q2 is not necessarily what I'm focused on. I'm focused on 2030, and I hope to see you guys on the moon. So other than that, see you guys. Have a great week, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Cheers.